Welcome back. Sorry for the brief break, but we are jumping into the first game of the day. Toronto Defiant and the Washington Justice. It's going to be a good time. And do you know the best thing, Scott?
What's that?
Is that the desk can't talk to us right now, so I get to flame Johnny a little bit. Can I just say, Johnny, every single time we come to predictions, he's forgotten what he preds. And he's looking at me right now. And Johnny, you know what I'm saying. He's coming to me. No, Johnny, no.
No, Johnny, stay away from him. He's just a small boy.
Why do you always forget? Why do you always forget? Why do you always copy other people's preds?
I don't copy other people's
You
spreads.
always copy everyone else on the desk
Danny's
spread.
spread.
I've never seen you with an original thought. You know,
An original thought, not on my Overwatch desk. All right, we jump to the first map. Like I said, sorry for the brief pause there between the desk and the actual game, but we are about to go into Antarctic Peninsula, Eichenwalde, Surabasa, Colosseo, Route 66. And Scott, it's been an interesting time. I think Toronto have been one of the more interesting teams to watch because so many teams right now are just changing, swapping around either players in the game or just like metas and comps from map to map. Toronto, not so much.
Yeah, Toronto are one of the few teams in this meta, obviously very small sample size of just one match, but pretty much exclusively played the Alari with the Baptiste, these high damage shooter compositions, exactly what you see on your screen right now. This is supposedly their bread and butter, and it's been very successful for them in scrims. We saw it in their last match. How are the Washington Justice going to be able to deal with this? Because as the desk highlighted, this weekend we've seen a lot more Junker Queen and Lucio finding value on maps like Flashpoint and Control where you can use that maneuverability. Are the Toronto Defiant that confident in their own play and their style that they can overcome those obstacles?
Well, here we go. It is going to be the JQ, Scott, like you were saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see JQ back in the meta too, in a way. It's not like the JQ Winter or JQ Summer, I suppose, last year when it was just perma JQ Rush. A lot of variance this time around. And sneaky TP play right onto the back line. Nice wall though from Spectra. Stops the initial wave of damage. Alfie just chewing through Hydra right now. Lamp's going to save him. Alfie jumps back. A nice little bomb lands on his chest. And Alfie pooped up into the skies. Throws a grenade out for himself. Unfortunately though, Flora and Terror end up going down as the wall to stop Mira from doing all of anything. As Jet heals up the rest of the team with the right click. That will be the fight over. Rather cheeky from Justice there. Wrapping all the way around with that teleport, Scott, but didn't work out.
I really love the idea. That's what you need to do if you're playing the Lucio and the Symmetra. Get onto the backline of the Defiant, but you could see how resilient just the Alari and the Baptiste is. They have so much healing that just keeps Hydron alive long enough to be able to take down the Justice. And now they're playing very aggressively, the one stepping up first.
Oh, here comes the damage. Hydron with the window in front of him. Terry, you gotta get down, man. Okay. A Dogred, if he goes down there, yeah, that's a report for sure. Hot strike available from Hydron too. Very aggressive play right now. I mean, they can do this again. You could just push all the way up, maybe even use Surmagetto if you pop that.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult for the Justice. They need to find value with their application matrix. It's going to force everyone to maneuver away, but everyone's just sort of looking at each other from a distance.
Oh, wait, Alfie and Hydron. They traded. They traded their ults, they traded their lives. Terru in a little bit of trouble, though, as Sermajev forces the lamp with a couple of nice right clicks. Sound barrier comes through from the Washington Justice. It's only a 4-man since Alfie died earlier on in that fight. The Rampage comes in, but the Blizzard is just absolutely spectacular from Spectra. And Mira, none able to follow up after that Rampage. And even Collusion, he's just kind of standing tall there. Scott hits the Terror Surge. Not much Mira can do after that. He's slowed down by the Blizzard and the Orisa ult, and then he can't move.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened with the Mira Rampage either, but it didn't get the value that it really needed. But as you said, Jack, Spectra's Blizzard was just the thing that really put the nail in the coffin for the Justice. Once again, Symmetra TPing, trying to get to the point. They're in last fight territory. The Flora wall needs to enable them to get into this fight.
There's the wall and the window too.
They might be able to break this wall. Very rarely do you see a wall go down, but through an amplification matrix, it can be done.
1 million DPS from the Bastion through the window there. Here come the turrets and here comes the flank. Mira trying to find a knife pull in, but those knives are landing, but the walls from Spectre are just too good, blocking them most of the time. Mira trying to enter onto the point, does use the TP to get behind as Hydron ends up going down. Lamp to save Ultraviolet, but now he's a little bit more vulnerable to Teru's Tri-Burst rifle on the other side of the map. Now Sermaged ripping the ultimate and aim, just spectacular too. Toronto Defiant going to take that first round. Rather messy game there from both teams, but not messy, as in like bad play, just messy because everybody is all over the place. They're teleports, and Toronto Defiant kind of playing around them. Like, you don't really see that all too often. Normally the team that teleports on you with a JQ, with a Bastion, are able to just cleave you in twain, but the Toronto Defiant playing around it perfectly.
Yeah, the Justice, honestly, I love the idea of how they're trying to execute the composition. They're just not finding the picks. They need to be able to punish Surmajet and Ultraviolet. Those are the primary picks, because if they get caught in the front line trying to take down either Spectra or Kaluj, they're just too durable. They're not going to ever be able to bring those players down. So we move over to Labs, where we actually see Surmajet moving to Lucio, nevermind, just speeding everyone out for a little bit. Similar compositions, but this time Mira's going to go to the Orisa of his own.
Need that durability, Scott. It must be said. Hydra on the Soldier too. It's nice to see a little bit of Genji as well. Really good at kind of following up kills, and if an Orisa lands a spear, good target to kind of jump on, get a reset.
Yeah.
High ground control right now, trying to be claimed by the Justice. They do TP, kill the pylon. Here comes Mira, spear spinning into the back line. A lot of low health members for Toronto Defiant, but the lab is going to make sure everybody's 100%, but those small turrets slowing down Ultraviolet as he leapt into the air as Alpha E finds 2 clean kills on the back line. That'll be the point going over.
I like this Genji switch. It allows them to just go that extra step further, right? He can get those dash resets. He can be the one to get on the back lines alone, and let's be honest, it's Alpha Yi. Like, he has been the carry for the Washington Justice throughout this entire year. Put him on a hero that allows him to solo carry just like that. He takes down both backliners and opens it up for the Justice.
Oh, they know where Hydron is.
Yeah, they can hunt him down.
Oh, they know.
Did they miss him? I think they flew over him.
Yeah, they... What?
What?
How did they miss him? Sorry, Splinter Cell? Sam Fisher, is that you? Okay, well, there goes the teleport. Terra might be in a little bit of trouble. Kalusha's going to run him down. Mira's already used the Fortify there. Alpha E, though, dispatching again with the backline. Surmajet and Ultraviolet fell. Well, it was Terra falls. That's a 2-for-2 trade. The Washington Justice, they're going to be able to touch the point again. I'm not sure they are, no.
It's just not enough. As much as we found Alpha E getting the picks, everyone else on the Justice fell. And that will be the Defiant taking it over. If you are the Defiant, though, look at their support ultimate charge. Neither of them have been able to play this game so far. They need to find a way to help themselves so that Alpha E cannot just tear their team apart. He's even coming up to a Blade, which will make this fight even easier.
Blade, wall, and the window. So Amp Matrix, I mean, you're looking great right now. Hydron once again on the edge of the map as Soldier players do.
He's literally playing like one of those hide-and-seek games.
Okay, they kind of know where he is now. Yeah, they can hear him. Now they definitely know. All right, Alfie calls that out. He's too far away. I think you're right, Scott. Alfie can just go in with the Blade. Doesn't really need to worry about the Soldier damage. There's the Blade. It's been pulled. Surmajet in trouble. Instantly taken care of. Alpha Yi, true carry of the Washington Justice. Even a couple little small shurikens there. Come on, Alpha Yi. Spectra, the only one left alive. Is it going to give him the 5K? Of course they are. Alpha Yi with a team kill.
And this is really a big issue with the Alara. You can see Alpha Yi understands it. As soon as the healing pylon goes down, if you take that out, the Alpha Yi doesn't really have anything to protect herself. So right now, it feels like Alpha Yi is just being able to kill Surmajet and then goes on to Ultraviolet, gets out the lamp. So right now, Justice really coming in with a much better game plan than we saw in this first round. Donghan does have the sound barrier that should be able to give them at least a little bit of extra health that can enable this dive.
Oh, Surmajet's in trouble though. Alfie is just hounding him down right now. He ends up going down to Donghan of all people. Because Alfie explodes, but I mean, will it be enough? Spectra's still got the block, puts himself on the point. Most importantly there, stops Mira instantly capping. Spear spin away from the heals, and there's the kill eventually coming through. However, now Kalush has decided to join the party on the point.
That's really bad that they lost the capture there, the Washington Justice. They were in control but lost it at the beginning of that fight, which means that they weren't getting the capture percentage up. That potentially could have been the last fight, but because they lose that control, the Defiant will get another chance at this. But no, neither side really has any ultimates to work with. It's going to be a pretty dry fight, and a last fight at that.
And no Blade for Alpha Yi, sadly, but Hydron is still behind him. My word.
Ooh.
How many seconds has he spent with the rest of his team? Probably near zero. Nice little damage onto Alpha Yi, forces the dash up to the high ground. They know where he is, of course, at this point, but Alpha Yi's got to get healed sooner or later. No healing in sight, apparently. Terror's focusing on the front line right now. They do trade DPS for DPS. This window could be devastating for Kaluj, but Summer ends up killing 2, 3. Keep going. Might as well. Hello. What's up? Yeah, Alari does a lot of damage, by the way. 86%, Scott, last fight.
And when we talked to RuPaul and we asked him, who do you think is the best Alari right now? He said Sir Majed. We know how mechanically talented he is, showing it right now.
Luch going in, hoping maybe he lands a spear there. Gets the ult, but backs up. That pylon's going to do a lot of work for the Toronto Defiant, that is for sure. High ground, window, Flora, railgun through it. Ultraviolet not expecting the burst damage coming in. Kaluj a little bit more vulnerable now with only one healer. There is the ultimate ripped, and instantly Alfie just dashes out. Flora in a little bit of trouble though, does get struck with the Alari ultimate. Summershed takes him out. OT for Toronto Defiance as they just clean the Justice straight up. I mean, that couldn't have been more one-sided.
Yeah. Toronto, as soon as they were able to keep their backline alive, as soon as Sir Majed had any freedom to shoot, the Justice just could not stand up to the sheer amount of damage coming out. Honestly, Justice played it quite well, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. And Alpha's Genji, it went heroic mode, it went sicko mode, yet it still wasn't enough. That's a problem, Jack, as you move further into this series.
Oh, yeah. And further into the playoffs as well, right? Can't rely on Alpha getting double kill in the backline over and over again to find a win condition. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you're sticking with this one comp, you're getting the best with it, right? Okay, this is a clip for the day. This is a clip of the day already. Was there a land that tried to come down? I think so, maybe, yeah.
I think both supports tried to drop a lamp, but it's just not enough to be able to... if you're in the center of that explosion, it does so much damage.
But yeah, if you're practicing one comp, like, and drilling it over and over again, rather than doing what a lot of teams are right now, is in switching comps up, you're going to get way better than most other people. So, you know, maybe sometimes sticking with things is better than changing things up over and over again. And as we head into the playoffs and play-ins, will the meta kind of solidify, or are we just going to continue to see this variance? Right now, Toronto Defiant, they look great, Scott. You know, Johnny put it a little bit more harshly on the desk,
yeah.
But they weren't too good to start off the year at all. They made some substitutions in their roster, and now they're looking like a surefire bet going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and you say surefire bet, but the question that still hasn't been answered is, yes, you can play one composition. It might just be the best composition in the world, but if it isn't, and we go into the playoffs and they really pigeon themselves into this one composition, that could be a problem as we go further down the line into the playoffs.
Right. Eichenwalder up next. A clean 2-0 for Defiant to start off the series. Justice, what you got for us? Toronto Defiant with a 2-0. And Scott, they are looking for one thing in this series, and it's 3-1.
Yeah, well,
so they
no,
are perfectly mid.
I think they would prefer to go 3-0 and be better than mid. And speaking of someone better than mid,
True.
Look at this Majed. This guy has been making names for himself ever since he came into the league last year, known as just a hyper-aggressive flex support player who doesn't really care about the costs of going aggressive.
Yeah.
So that's why this hero, Lari, coming into it, we knew he was going to be great at it. And he's honestly been one of the players who's adopted it the most. And that's why the Toronto Defiant have been playing around it in a lot of different ways. While on the other side, Washington Justice making some subs. Ben Best coming in, I don't think we saw that at all last weekend. And then Mirror making the transition to support once again. We've seen this in the past from the Justice to varied success.
Yeah, Mirror was actually the first player in the Overwatch League to play all 3 roles in a game. Like, this was way back when.
Yeah.
And he played support, tank, and DPS. And it was kind of a... What is Mirror up to? Like, what is he doing?
What is he cooking?
I mean, he's a talented player.
Yes.
But it's kind of crazy to see him just consistently swapping between all these 3 roles. Traditionally, very much traditionally, a DPS player. Was very good at, like, the original Doomfist Fire, like, projectile stuff.
Silly hero specialist.
Basically, yeah, like, silly hero specialist. Now jumping onto a tank role, but now obviously playing with Teru on the support role. Like, yeah, it's maddening. But honestly, yeah, I will see how it does. Because at the end of the day, you need big kill potential with a lot of these new support heroes, minus Life Weaver, right? Like, Alari is just, as Summer was demonstrating last game, is just aim skill. Like, you're just getting in people's faces, just winning duels, doing a lot of damage. And what better than have a DPS player on a support player that does a lot of damage, right? So, I mean, Mirror and Teru, exactly the same kind of storyline in that regard as well.
Yeah, and that really levels them up because they have the mechanics to be able to play all these like high mechanic support heroes. But the question I have for the Washington Justice is this really a great choice? Going to Eichenwalder, they're going to mirror the composition from the Toronto Defiant that, you know, Defiant have kind of dubbed themselves as the best at this mirror. So they're going to go toe-to-toe. Let's see how they play. Because let's remember, this match overall doesn't have wild implications. Both of these players and teams are already into the play-ins. They're going to be able to have the opportunity to qualify to go to our event in Toronto. So I want to see what different looks they have. Are they one tricks? Are they really just focused on playing one thing? We've seen the diversity from Washington Justice, while Toronto Defiant still just sticking with the one thing.
Oh, Teru forced a lamp already. See Summerjet not doing much healing right now. Doesn't need to. He's got that pylon up on that clock tower. Taking the 1v1 with Mirror there for a brief moment. Nice wall onto Ben Best. Can he get away? Already used the spear spin. No, he turned round, thought maybe a pylon had broken, but nope, not to be. Summerjet takes his life, and that will be Defiant pushing on to the points.
Very easy. Ben Best just, even though he goes aggressive, you need to play that way, but the rest of the support wasn't there. No healing, nothing to back him up. That'll be a very quick first point capture here for the Toronto Defiant. Majed just once again taking names. Ben Best is going to re-aggress at the point. They're at a player disadvantage. This could be ill-advised.
Yeah, I did use Fortify, now use the spin, no CDs at all. They gotta know this, but they can't push forward just yet. Flora with a snipe across the map actually takes care of Summerjet. Both those winners coming up exactly the same time to the frame by the sounds of it. Gotta be careful though, Flora on the side. Now got a railgun charge shot in just a moment. Wow, Alpha E comes back somehow, some way. Justice managed to hold on to that point. 91.5%. That was almost a cap. Fine.
That was a great play. Justice got a couple of stray picks towards the end of that fight, which allowed them to re-enter into the fight. They were the ones who found the picks at the very end as well. So now that's 2 minutes. That ended up being a very long, drawn-out fight for the Defiant to not cap, and now both sides are coming up to ultimates. So we've seen time and time on Hybrid, it's very easy to just sort of get snowballed away. Captain Sun?
No value. Some detonations across the map. Ultraviolet's pretty low. Same with Spectra. Pops in the block, instantly pops himself out of it. Pylon to the floor, and Ultraviolet just feeding to make sure he can respawn in time. Looking at maybe only a couple of fights left. Minute and 45 seconds to go, Scott. And they got Justice got big ultimates coming up now.
Yeah, they've only had to use their support ultimates so far. Well, support is ultimates are a loose term. Yeah, these days, because they are both offensive focused in a lot of respects. And they also charge up very quickly, so it hasn't cost Justice that much. So they're not at an ult discrepancy as much as you would expect this late in the round.
Help him, Ben! Help him! He's good. Encore come in out. Stops Hydron from getting a free angle. However, he's still jumping over the top of the tank. Kills Alpha Yi, and now Ben Best suffered again. And the Icy Fate just back against the ice wall, ends up falling. Hydron almost goes down to the molten core then. Jeez, global warming is happening. It's happening on Eichenwald. There's lava and there's ice walls coming up. Like, what's happening? Toronto Defiant do end up capping Scott, luckily. Flora unable to get that overclock out. Could have been the difference maker.
Yeah, honestly, Defiant just went first. Hydron found instant value with his own overclock. From there, it's just hard for Justice to really get into the fight. But that's not a bad hold. If you're the Justice, you held pretty well. You still held onto that overclock, and now they can control the positioning of the top of the castle. How do the Defiant assail? They don't have speed, they don't have a teleporter to really get into position, so they're fighting an uphill battle, literally.
Oh, they got Blizzard, that's for sure. I can hear Servers, yeah, robbing the ultimate again. God, every single time he's got it up, just instantly rips it. Takes a headshot though, he's got to be careful. Healing Hydron with that right-click beam. Now Pylon on top too, almost indefinite healing if they can keep it alive long enough. Meanwhile, on the payload though, Scott, Ben Best is just getting bullied by the front line of Toronto. Alfie and Flora still come up with big kills though. No supports now for Toronto, so playing it a little bit more safe is the order of the day.
Both teams are just spreading the other one incredibly thin. A lot of players taking off angles, taking flanks. I think both support players for the Defiant were flanking there. And that's what a sort of isolated Ben Best got them picked, but they ended up paying with their own lives as well.
Yeah, Ben Best is almost like cannon fodder at this point. It's like, okay, Ben Best, just survive as long as you can on the point. We're going to kill everybody else.
Yeah, as much as it feels like, oh, Ben Best is kind of feeding. He's dying first time and time again. That's how you have to play Orisa. Force the Defiant to look at you, commit their resources. You need to find that balance, and you can't fall for free. And so far, Ben Best has actually been doing quite a good job.
Oh, here comes Kalush's turn to feed. Oh, a spear. Goodbye, Alpha Yi. Yeah, did not see that one. There you go. Kicked right into the pit there, almost. Washington Justice now. They've got to deal without a life without Alpha Yi, sadly. Flora over to the top of the wall. Summershed in trouble. A nice double tap to the body. Takes care of one of the main carries of the Toronto Defiants. Flora doesn't run out of overclock though, as Kalush marches on forward. There's the ultimate, but Flora, cleverly enough, did save the dash there, Scott, so slid away. However, he's still pretty low, waiting for heals to come in and land on top of him. Luckily, Ben Best was there to tank some of that damage. The cart now pushing onto the bridge.
Alfie is in such a good position. He's holding this high ground while he loses the duel to Ultraviolet. Now Ultraviolet's in a great position with his amplification
Active
matrix.
Sun from Mirror takes down Spectre, but Ultraviolet on the high ground with a pylon, a window, every single support tool you could possibly want up there to keep the high ground in control.
I feel like these team fights are never ending. They're just changing constantly. Both teams at number disadvantages. Right now, Defiant do have the control, and Kalush is pushing it in. 45 seconds are remaining, Jack.
Flora and Mirror on a flank on the high ground again. Summershed trying to check them. Ooh. And it is go time for Hydron. Body shot. Headshot to Alfie. Pops the E, but it wasn't enough. Another nice blizzard from Spectre actually stops the retreat of the flankers. Flora and Mirror now in trouble. Payload is inching back ever so slightly, but now is in firm control of the Toronto Defiant as Ben Best. Not falling first this time, Scott, falling last in this fight. 20 seconds to go, but the Toronto Defiant will break those doors down, push on to point 3, and this has just been a slugfest. I mean, it's called the shooter comp for the reason, right? Everybody is just shooting through windows. Summershed, Mirror is just flanking permanently. There's just so much damage and so many picks. It feels very deathmatchy.
It is, and that's how the composition is built and designed. You're not taking these big team fights. You're not synergizing your ultimates. That's why it kind of feels like everyone's just throwing whatever they have willy-nilly. It's just about finding as much individual value as you can. Find the picks, give yourself that advantage. Flora comes up with the first one in this fight.
First blood to Flora, but this window on the high ground is just so good. But the issue is, who's anchoring the point right now? It's Ben Best. He was just in that corner that whole time. They couldn't get the cart around the point, around the corner. Nice capture Sun. It's 4, I believe, too. Knockers push out. That spear was huge from Kalush. Just removes everybody from the defense mage, from the lamp, sorry, and they just all detonate on top of each other. Summershed with a massive ultimate. They're going to open this one up.
Now Washington Justice, desperation mode. They need to get back to this point. You can see Alfie just trying to make it. He has made it to the point. He's blocked, so they will get another fight.
Here comes the Ryan, the Bastion, through the window as well. This Bastion, got to be careful. Toronto Defiant with 30 seconds to go. Any death here will cost them a great deal.
They can't stagger here. as you said, Jack, if Marget's in a bad spot, he does trade 1-for-1, but that's not going to matter because of how close the spawns are for the Washington Justice. So now if you're the Defiant, you have 15 seconds. Not only do you need to take an even fight, you need to make all your way to the cart to just get it into overtime. This is Marget.
This is Marget. He was trying to kill people, man. Hydron's
just
got the
going.
fucking 1%. He's got to rip it. He's got to rip it. The ice wall, a little bit of a hindrance. Trying to actually just shoot the pylon. It's a good kill, honestly. That cooldown is quite a lot, and it does a lot of healing. So now the focus is Best shield, trying to remove that. So Hydron gets a nice line of sight, but there's just not much damage coming in right now onto the Justice. Hydron can't get these clean shots in. Kalush and Ultraviolet are dead. And there's the Blizzard on top too. Toronto Defiant unable to cap that last point. At least they ended up capping 2, but that third one just fell by the wayside.
It's just a very difficult point to assail because of how close the spawn doors are. You saw that was such a great team wipe from Sir Marget's Captive Son. As soon as you start getting those triggers going, everyone will fall, but the closest spawn doors, Toronto Defiant, this long run back cost them too much to get back to the point, and it's not enough. But that's still not a bad point push on Eichenwald. It can be very difficult to even get through the second point. If you can make it all the way to the third, you're in a pretty good position overall. Let's see this Captive Son again.
It's hit 4 people, I believe, too.
Dude, it's so cool.
It is, it's a sick ult. Right on the corner, rather large hitbox, and Kalush used the spear of the people in the IMO field, pushed them out, they explode, and bada bing, bada boom, that's a whole lot of detonations.
Mirror's getting flamed. He says, he even throws in the, I'm tank player. You know, he's using the old classic excuse.
I'm a tank player, man, come on.
I don't have to aim, I'm a tank player.
True.
Okay, Mirror,
So
that
true.
doesn't work for you. You're a jack of all trades. You're not allowed to use that trump card. It wasn't a bad look. I will say, from the Washington Justice, I questioned whether it was the right decision to take this Mirror, but it's actually giving me more confidence, regardless of how this map plays out, that they are going to be able to play these different compositions moving into the playoffs, because they might not be able to beat the Defiant at it exactly, but if they can play it to a high degree, they can probably beat a lot of other teams.
Interesting
Oh, no.
Ooh, he's got it. He got it. He's
Never
got
worried,
it.
never worried.
Never worried. Alfie's the GOAT. Look at this flank. 3 people on the flank right now for the Justice. Flora, Alfie, and Teru.
And the way this is designed, it is to get on top of the Baptiste and the Alari. Don't allow them to shoot and just sort of stand around. If you put a lot of pressure onto the back line,
That's fair.
you can spread the Defiant around. They just cannot get picked.
Yeah, Toronto Defiant have to back all the way up to the point, just letting go of that choke. Like you said, Scott, 1 pick will be enough. And oh,
There
well,
goes Flora, right?
that's a pick, but it's not on the side of the Justice, sadly. Actually, Hydron with the Casty instead. Casty is just, it's such a hindrance, actually, quite literally, with the Magnet,
literally.
right? But it's such a hindrance to the Justice, like sticking the Tracer or even sticking the Echo. That's a kill.
That's why people haven't been playing Tracer as much in this meta. There's just too much damage. You have a Baptiste, an Alari, a Torbjorn, a Cassidy, an Orisa. All of these are threats to you as a Tracer, and it's just too much damage. But now Teru's going to be the one to open it up on Sir Marget.
That'll boost on to Best, he just runs down the back line. Ooh, pretty low is Ultraviolet right now. Alfie dashes straight on top of him, no deflect, no dash. Best still surviving, but yeah, not for long. No heals were sent in his direction by the looks of it. But still, Toronto Defiant right now, Scott, kind of cowering in this corner because they've had to just chase Best around. 2 ticks have been acquired by the Justice. You're still pretty happy about that.
Yeah, you take those 2 ticks. It was a great push that gets Marget down, but Best eventually ran out of nano boost, ran out of life, and from there they just don't have the ability to sort of deal with the reinforcements coming out of the Toronto Defiant. And now Justice are in the same position that the Defiant were in their push, where you're at 2 minutes, yes, your ultimate's coming out, but you need to find value with these ultimates, otherwise you could easily get held first.
That's the 2nd pick in a row with Teru.
Yeah, Teru's just finding the supports, maybe a little too greedy from Ultraviolet this time, and that should be a great window to pop these ultimates, run into the fight.
Captive Son though, where's it gonna land? Teru jumps in to safety, however you can. Suzu that, but the Molten Core is just crazy actually. From Spectra, you go one way, you jump into Molten Core, you go the other way, you jump into a Terra Surge. What a combination of ults, but well,
Alfie?
Who's in the kill feed? It's Alfie, of course. He still manages to find 2 kills somehow, some way, and the point was capped, Scott, in the meanwhile. Yeah.
Well, that was just chaos. Toronto Defiant, that's going to cost them a lot as well. That cost them 4 ultimates to be able to try and hold that, and they didn't manage to hold it. So now Alpha has a blade, Benbet still holding onto his Terror Surge. If they can snowball these ultimates effectively, they could capture this second point in a very quick time. The question is, how do they deal with all these threats standing at the top of the castle? Okay, that'll do it.
Alpha lost duel to a turret. Like, he took one shot from Summer's yet sure lost duel to the turret.
It happens from time to time, Jack.
It does,
happened
it
to all of
does.
us.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, Teru?
Teru. Oh, Suzu. Nice. Hydro can still push you, though.
Yeah.
TP, Swift Step, and yep, he's out of there. Nanoblade for Justice now, Scott.
Yeah. This is very difficult to deal with if you're the Defiant. You don't have the tools.
Nano, Blade, Alfie on the high ground. Nice roll away from Hydro, but you cannot run quick enough. The lamp goes down, but still Alfie takes it out. Looks like a little bit no-rig there, actually, on the lamp. But all good. Still 2 kills for Alfie with the Nano Blades. Maybe more, too, if they can find these last stragglers. Summershed's 1 HP. Does manage to pick up the Mega Health Pack, though, so all good. 1 HP. He's going to go for it. Oh, the stun! Oh, no! The spear into the wall. Too greedy.
Gets punished for his greed and his hubris. Really wanted that pick. It would have been a huge pick, but now it swings the other way. Kalush runs into the backline.
Huge Terror Surge. Yeah, goodbye. Kalush saving that fight.
That was an overheat from Alpha Yi. A rare L from Alpha Yi. But honestly, that's how you have to play if you want to have that high level of impact. Teru going for maybe a C9.
Do they know?
Oh, they know.
They know. Does have Swift Step and oh, the Suzu not quite registering there for Teru.
And that's a lot of time. That falls off the point. That's another 15 seconds before the Justice can really start entering into this fight. And that ultimate advantage that I said the Justice have has since come and gone, and now the Defiant are going to push their own advantages. Jeez. They're trying to go to spawn. You want to push this card back as far as it can, so therefore, even if the Justice do win another fight, they won't capture the point.
Right. I mean, it's on the bridge right now. It could very well go back around one of those corners. Good position from Sermachet. Does take a single shot from Mirror there, who's on the Arna at the moment. Captive Sun available. You know Sermachet just wants to rip it on this high ground. They're all gathered up.
Yeah. That's the spear spin as well, so they can't even catch the Captive Sun. That's a cooldown you need to keep tracking if you are the Alari.
Looks like Justice are actually going to rotate to the point to at least touch it. Terra takes care of the turret. Here comes the Captive Sun. Oh, deflected. Where'd it go? Not sure.
Back to the sun.
Not sure. Back, yes, straight back up into the sky. Nano boost onto Alpha Yi. No blade, but no problems for him most of the time.
More importantly, the card is pushing, so now Defiant are the ones who are going to have to rush towards the point. Is Kalush even going to make it?
Kalush? Oh, 0.5 meters, but Kalush is so low. Molten Core on the point, not going to happen though. No more touches there from the Toronto Defiant. They let that payload just slip through their fingers. They're coming up with kills, Scott. That's great. It looks great, but Justice still cap.
Hey, that's great play if you're the Justice. They took that one advantage and just spread it even further. Before going over to the Hanzo when we get to this last point, remember, the third point was not captured by the Defiant. It's very close to the end, so now the Justice, they have 2 minutes to be able to close out this map. Alpha Yi coming up to another blade. Once again, Defiant don't have the answers to this.
You've got to save some big cooldown there from Kalush. The spear would do it. Even the spin as well, right? You could just kind of push him away, but it's going to be dangerous.
Kalush, if he can get his Terror Surge up in time, that could be huge as well. As soon as the Genji goes in, pop the Terror Surge. Mess with the flow of the Genji.
Window, unleash from Ultraviolet, buying time. Mirror dead.
And they'll get it.
Yep, they will get the time that they require. There's the deflect coming out from Alpha Yi too, so yeah, it doesn't look like this fight is going the way of the Defiant right now. And look at this damage too from Kalush. I mean, he's got Terror Surge now, Scott, so a very big tool to deal with the blade if they really want to use it.
And it's not just the Terror Surge they're going to have now as Hydron's getting close to the visor. There's more staggers once again. This is more and more time off. Are the Justice only going to get one more fight?
They're going to just push into the spawn. I mean, you can potentially hold the high ground here. There's no Lucio to kind of speed past them.
It doesn't cost you that much to hold this high ground as well. As long as you don't lose a player or a stagger exactly like that as Hydron gets taken out by a headshot. And now all of a sudden, Defiant, they're trying to retreat. They do not want to lose any more players. I wouldn't be surprised to see Alpha E just go try and push.
They know where he is.
Oh, pushes advantage.
Hit the E. However, the lamp is going to come out to save him, but there's the blade. As soon as that lamp came out, Alpha E hit the ult. Kaluge, buying time though, did isolate Alpha E, but he's still swinging. Big kills. Ultraviolet goes down at the hands of Alpha E and Mirror, and now the push can continue. However, Surmashed is still buying more time, Scott. This is all the Toronto Defiant need right now. 15 seconds to go as Surmashed used the Captive Sun. Is going to heal up this front line now as Kaluge, Spectre, and Hydra are going to hold down the fort.
It's not about time anymore, Jack. This is last fight. It's all about the ultimates that you have.
Captive Sun available from Mirror, peeping around the corner. Does manage to hit the UV by the looks of it. Yes, he does detonate too. Ben Best picks up the kill, but Surmashed still on the sidelines, causing absolute ruckus. Molten Core on the point. Kaluge pretty low, just dancing around it, trying to keep himself alive, but no cooldowns to be seen. Justice, they're still going to push. Surmashed's flank did not work out. One more touch, Ultraviolet gets booped away, but the Justice are going to take Eichenwalder there.
I feel like you have to question the decision by the Defiant to try and take that fight where Surmashhed uses the Captive Sun there. If you had just retreated, stepped back, you had your threats, you could have reset and taken a more advantageous fight at the back half of that third point, but they decide to try and end it right there and then, and the Washington Justice punishes them for it.
Damn, like, that last corner, it felt like the payload was way closer to completion than it actually was. It was basically on the last point. I think you laid it out there perfectly, Scott. If you just play a little bit more safe, a little bit more passive maybe, all the way at the back, but they decided to rip their ults early and Justice took advantage of it. Big stuff from the Washington Justice, but the most important thing, Scott, the 3-1 is possible.
That's true, 3-1's back on the table. Toronto Defiant could be perfectly mid. They're actually, now you're in a bad position because Toronto Defiant, they were fighting to be slightly better than mid, and now they can only be mid or worse. So that's a questionable thing for the Toronto Defiant season now that we're 1-1. And now it's the Washington Justice, honestly, with an impressive performance playing this shooter composition, much better than I expected from them.
Man, those Surmashed flanks can be deadly, but if his team fall first, then yeah, that flank is nothing but a small draft in the wind. Surabasa is up next for Flashpoint. Coliseum Route 66 on the table too. We'll see if Justice can take the series away from the Defiant and stop their mid goals. We'll be right back after the break. Let's go, Justice.
Let's go, Justice.
Icon Valda was theirs. We are seeing a couple of substitutions coming in, though. Mira back to tank, and Donghun's forehead is now in for support.
Donghun's forehead is a great Lucio, so I think we can understand the direction the Washington Justice are going, back towards what they were playing on the first map, which you can sometimes question of like, hey, they just won the second map playing the same composition as Defiant. Why would they switch? But I think Jake highlighted it really well on the desk heading into this series. Lucio is starting to become a staple for playing on Flashpoint because you need that mobility, that ability to maneuver around the map. So my question lies less on the Washington Justice and more on Toronto Defiant, because the last series that they played last weekend, the only map they lost was Flashpoint because they didn't play a Lucio, and that cost them heavily. Yet with Summer Qualifiers and Ultraviolet remaining in the lineup, it makes me feel that they're still not going to play a Lucio.
Doesn't look like it. I mean, hey, if you rotate to the point first and you win the first fight, then hey, you get the point, you know, and you can hunker down. You don't necessarily need the Lucio, but those transitional phases between the 2 points are so important. We're seeing how it's been evolving ever since Flashpoint got added to the map pool, and like, are teams taking fights? Are they deciding not to? How far are they chasing to people's spawns and try and get these stagger picks? Because staggers in this game mode are very important because of how quickly the percentage ticks up.
And that's sort of where it is. It's not as much about hunkering down on the point. It's if you do get a stagger or if one player gets isolated, that allows you as the team with a Lucio to chase either the individual player or the other 4 players. You're the one who's able to dictate the flow of where the fights are happening. And because of how open these maps are, that becomes even more valuable than it has been on any other map type in the past.
Well, here we go. Suravasa is the map up next. So, like I mentioned before, original roster here for the Justice. So, just says to me, Lucio, are they going to go Queen though, or do you reckon Orisa?
It's hard to really know because Queen has shown a lot of value as of late, but against just this high damage output, sometimes sometimes you just need that spear spin, the fortified that Orisa provides, that just allows your tank to just not fall over to the amount of damage that will be coming out.
Yeah, sometimes you just need the defensive countermeasures from the Orisa to survive. We'll have to wait and see though. Looks like, yep, no surprise there from the Defiant. Well, Hydron on fire, not going to happen.
Enough yapping. Take it to a publisher.
Enough yapping.
My boy just arrived with the perfect capitalization as well. Spectra, come on, proper grammar is not allowed in match chat.
Lowercase all or uppercase all?
No full stops.
Exactly. No full stops, no commas, nothing. All right, let's have a look. Okay. All right, so is Spectra on the Mei, Hydron on the Soldier? I wonder if Hydron's going to keep with these strange flank. Yes, okay, that answers my question instantly. He's going on some strange flank. All right, good stuff.
Hydron's running 2 gardens while everyone else runs the market.
Right. We can look. All I'm saying is, and you put it a second ago, right? If you can chase one person, if you can isolate them, you have Lucio, and they're chasing it right now. It's a 2v1. Hydron in trouble. Healing station, and you're dead. There we go.
And if you're watching the Justice, or just anyone who's watched any Defiant games in the past, that's how Hydron loves to play. Before they even knew Hydron was doing it, they were going to the flank, recognizing they can punish it. And now, once again, Alpha Yi on this Genji. This is going to be a problem that the Toronto Defiant are going to have to deal with once again, because on Antarctic Peninsula, even though Justice lost that map, Alpha Yi went sicko mode, and this is going to be a problem as they've already captured the point, 15% and counting, and this, in Flashpoint, the point ticks up a lot faster than Control.
Yeah, I mean, we're already up to 25%, Scott, so yeah, pretty quick. Hydron is going to be way more careful, I'd imagine. Honestly, just joining the rest of his team and just kind of hunkering down in one position, just throw damage at the front line.
Maybe less ridiculous flanks, right? Like, you can play on this off angle, like this side angle with Summer Qualifiers. Like, this is a great idea, right? And then you can help each other if you need to. And now they're finding picks. They get terrored.
Oh, yes. And now Justice decide it is time to int. Oh, hang on a second. Flora 1 HP. Yeah, Spectra might just be able to clean this up by himself, to be honest with you. He hasn't got a block, though, as Hydron does kill Dongman and Mira. There you go. 75% for the Justice, though. Very happy with that after a first cap, because you just win one fight here, and that point is yours.
And that's the danger. You can see the sort of semi-circle that the Toronto Defiant were making around the Justice. They have so many off angles and flanks that it's difficult as a support player to find anywhere safe to stand, and that's why Terrell ends up going down.
I like when Arissa gets hit in the head sometimes from afar when she's standing still. She's like, ah!
No, oh, yeah.
It's just like, she just recoils slightly. Looks really fun.
Hey man, that was almost you with Johnny earlier, so
yeah,
just
I
be
was
careful.
recoiling. Dude is like 8-7.
Early amplification matrix. It feels like the Justice is going to just try and disengage, but Terry can't get there.
No. Even the Blizzard too. Fight early and fight fast is the motif right now for the Toronto Defiant, because they can't really catch people because they don't have a Lucio. They have to just go hard and fast and just throw ults, try and find these staggers. And that is a big late pick. Alfie goes down with the Blade, and we're nearing 70%. I think Justice potentially have only one option here, and that's rotate to the, well, hopefully rotate and guess where the next point is.
I think you can make it to market. You have to. They have the Lucio, they have their strength. The problem is how much is it going to cost them to get there? Fortunately for them, Defiant are quite slow, so they're not going to be able to meet them. They're actually going to meet right in the middle.
Summer on the flank. Does manage to hit a nice captive stun, Scott, but it's met with dominant sound barrier almost instantly. Blade from the rafters here from Alpha Yi. Hits the deflect instantly, but that lamp was nowhere to be found. It was placed at the feet of Ultraviolet, but he leapt away as Alpha Yi takes down the backline. Alpha Yi with 3 kills, but Hydron with the visor. Oh man, the Toronto Defiant, they were more than happy to let Justice just rip as many ults as they possibly could to try and win that fight, because Hydron and Kalush were just sat on the point capping.
The Justice probably thought they had that one. They took down both backliners with the Alpha Yi Blade, but Hydron on the Omega flank once again pops the visor. Just too much damage for the Justice to be able to stand up to. And as now we move over to Ruins, I believe it is. Fortunately for Justice, they do have the overclock, both tanks having the Terror Surges. You got to be careful against these Terror Surges. As soon as you step up, that pull-in can mean absolute death, not just to the Terror Surge, but the other damage that comes in following it.
Overclock. Both wrists going golden. Is the battle of the century. Both ultimates on top of each other. Well, Mira got the best of that one, but I think you can tell that by looking at the kill feed. Nice win for the Justice.
Kalush blinked first. He popped the Terror Surge, loses the Fortify, and from there...
I mean, that's quite funny, right? Because if you do pop your ult first, the Terror Surge, the other wrist will be like, I'm healthier than you.
Yeah.
My team are already shooting you, I pop mine, you have to click yours to try and run away. So it's just kind of a lose-lose in that situation. It's unfortunate.
And that's sort of maybe the value that the Lucio is providing, that Kalush just doesn't have the ability to get in the same way that Mira does. But now Spectra with another Blizzard. We saw how effective he was with it last time. Got a great wall, drops the Blizzard behind it. Was able to punish Teru.
Big damage.
Great wall again.
Lamp used to save. Deflect from Alpha Yi, trying to get some damage through the window, but Spectra on the flank now. He's taking a leaf out of Hydron's book. That flank is going to get spotted. Now the target is Mira, but he's cowering behind some rather large steps. Blizzard thrown out into the backline. No Flora and Teru in trouble. They're trying to run away. They're trying to dance away from Blizzard. And they got out somehow. The LOS just completely cuts. Another big wall for Spectra. They've been quite useful so far, but the ability to find kills has just been so tough for the Toronto Defiant. They are slow to build up catch-up percentages, but Kalush is so low. Donovan tried to go for the execute onto Kalush, but Kalush, look at him, he's just getting rounded upon.
He's still alive
somehow. Arissa moment. Hang on a second. He's still getting dominated, but here comes the ultimates. Surmished with a captive sun. Almost got reflected back at him as Alpha Yi tries to chase him down. Alpha Yi does end up detonating, but there's too much damage on the side of the Justice once again. Ultraviolet kept alive by the right click of Surmished. Lamp goes down as well. Both supports alive and well. And now the low health bars of the Justice are fading away. Surmished is still alive. Can he kill Mira? Can he kill Mira? 100 HP? Has he got a pylon? No, he does not. Mira chases him down. Eventually, the fight is over, and Justice find the cap.
Summer tried his darndest. Just Live found so many picks, even with the captive sun. But he just wasn't enough. The giant horse is too much to deal with, and it now goes to 1-1. We're moving over to Gardens. Both teams look like they're going to be able to get there. Are the Washington Justice going to try and cut off the Defiant? No. They're going to think better of it. They're going to take positioning on the point. Alpha Yi has another blade, and we've seen how effective these blades are because of no support ultimates up for Toronto Defiant. Hydron on the massive flank once again, already pumping out damage.
Oh, he's popping the visor too. Everybody just lining up for him. Oh, Dongan, I mean...
Caught on a wall.
Yeah, caught on a wall there. Nice Helix rockets. At the end of Hydron's life, flung those out. Picks up 2 kills.
I would have loved to have seen Justice, when you see that flank visor, go aggressive in the opposite direction. Just run away from that, so you don't feel like you just have to run into it and just throw bodies at the problem. Fortunately for them, they didn't use any ultimate, so Alfie's still holding onto this blade.
I mean, I'd be more scared about this window right now, Scott.
Yeah,
window
that's true.
overclock, that's one-shot body shots.
Early block as well.
Yeah. They're just going to pull the... Mirror's just shooting at the ice block. I mean, why not? The blade comes out, Alfie taken down, and now here comes the overclock. Flora looking for targets, hunting, searching. Captive Sun in the small room. He gets taken out of the air, sniped away by Flora before he can even make a dent in the front line of the Justice. 66% for the Toronto Defiant is all they'll get on that point as Justice get the flips now, Scott. And they still have that window and a sound barrier coming up too.
Yeah, and that's going to be really important. Spectra with another Blizzard, though. We know the way he uses them, he tries to like herd the team into a corner, then drops the Blizzard to stop them from being able to escape. Let's see if he can find value, because that was an expensive fight from the Justice. Both DPS ults and the Terror Surge from Mira. So now it has to just be the Amplification Matrix to give them that extra damage to win the fight.
Well, Spectre hasn't got the speed, Scott, to really get in a position like that, although he might not need it, to be fair. He throws the Blizzard right on top of the window. That was a really aggressive push there by the Justice, but they might just get punished for it. Spectre still with the Ice Block in hand, yet does have to pop it as Hydron's on the flank. He's going to get shot at a little bit by Donglin by the sound of it. Yep, they're just going to chase him. Alfie and Donglin, two-man hit squad, take down Hydron. But meanwhile, in the front line, Mira ends up falling. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but without a tank, Justice are going to be in trouble. They do end up popping the beat. And, well, with Karush in the front line, it's going to be such a hard target to actually focus down. 90% for the Washington Justice, but they ignore Kalush completely. Use your cooldowns, that's fine. We'll kill your backline instead. Alpha Yi just tearing the server apart as the Justice are going to be able to find this cap.
Such smart play from the Justice. As soon as Mira's down, you lose that buff, chunky tank that's in the front line that's going to be able to keep you in the fight. So just play up the tempo, use the Lucio, use the sound barrier, and get in the Defiant space. They take out the back line and close out that point.
Alpha Yi is so good. So good in the neutral and the Genji.
Yeah.
His target acquisition and knowing like how quickly he can get resets and just focusing people down and just carrying on that Genji snowball is just so clean.
And a consistent factor throughout this map, Hydron needs to be careful. He can't keep getting picked on this soldier, but Flora's the one who gets picked first this time.
Mira met with a similar fate there almost. I feel like Mira's permanently looking at walls. Ice wall comes up, but Mira's trying to run away from it. There's the first cap from Toronto, just on that first pick. Oh, there it is again. He's looking at the wall. Spectre's walls too, in the neutral, have been just superb.
Yeah, his May play in general has just been great. You can't ask for better than that. He's utilizing the Blizzards all the time. Now Donghood's down, the staggers continue.
A late pickup as well when you think about it for Toronto Defiant in this season. He's just been such an asset to the squad.
Well, you know, we talked about this with the desk. The Toronto Defiant, they had a terrible spring stage. For the caliber of players they had, unacceptable level of performance. People question when they made some of these mid-season swaps, is this really necessary? But Spectra has paid off in spades.
All right, double DPS ultimate, almost oh my God. That's going to be the point, surely.
If they can find more picks, yeah, Flora follows.
Yeah.
Mira goes next. If they can get Alfie, this is absolutely going to be just a GG go next. We're going to go to the 5th round of this Flashpoint Survasa.
85%. Can they get back in time?
There's no chance.
Yeah, I don't think there is, no. No, no one is near it. And they, okay, yeah, round number 5 here, or point number 5. As it ticks over, where is it going to be? That is the question. There it is. All right, marked on the map. Now the rotations can begin. This next fight, I'm going to warn you. It's going to be a bloodbath. There's a lot of ults. We're going to Temple, so yeah, very enclosed space. So expect Mira and Kalush just be looking at each other.
And most importantly, Justice are here first. And if they are aware, and they have been so much throughout this map, they're going to be looking for Hydron. Look at Alfie. He's searching at the southern side of the map.
Hydron's on flank again. They don't know by the sounds of it.
It's this tentative balance. Oh, wait.
They're just going in. Summer Qualifiers going to
so early.
The ultimate. Super early, but can they get an initial pick off of it? It doesn't look like they can. Pull in, comes through from Mira. Straight on top of Blizzard though, so he's going to get frozen up. No, hits the shift. Fortify, tries to get out. Kalush just focuses him down. Mira just frozen up. There's a nice window for the Justice on the side of the point now. Scott, but they need to win the fight early. A lamp coming in, saving Summer Qualifiers. Ultraviolet quick on the trigger, making sure he can save the flanking Alari as the Justice do end up giving up this point.
Oh, that's a Terror Surge, but it's only on Donghoon. He could get out. Ultimates are coming up for the Justice. Are they going to commit them?
They are. Beats Flora with the overclock. Spectra goes into a block right in front of him. They easily take him out. Justice using so much in this fight. She's got 3 ultimates to try and push in, and they haven't even got the point yet.
And
Dominant, they're going down. Alpha E in the neutral, he might be pretty good, but he's not good enough to stand up to Summer. Takes him down through a window, 45% now for the Toronto Defiant. Justice need to reset to keep their hopes of this map alive.
That was such a gamble from the Justice to commit their ultimates to try and turn that fight. It might have needed to be done, but it did not pay off. Now the Defiant, they're firmly in control, and they only need one team fight. Hydron with a visor on the flank.
Fashion now for Alpha Yi. They're going to complete opposite
Look at
direction.
him just
Their car.
lurking in the background.
Oh, they're going to TP straight away from him. Where'd they go? I don't know. All right. Alpha Yi with a bash.
They get the flip, it's huge.
He's got wheels mode. No flip coming in through, Scott. Not right now, at least. Here's the visor from the backline now. They've got to be careful. He's ripping and roaring. He's trying to find kills. There's a lot of damage, but 6 HP. No healing station either. Flora ends up going down. Big first kill there for the Defiance. Summer hitting the ultimate, but the point does end up flipping Scott to the Justice.
It might not be enough though, Jack.
Window coming in, and now they just got to play behind him over collusion. Summer they just got too much damage. There's a pylon on the point, and not even a Bastion can save you now, Alpha Yi. The Blizzard was just too good too. Spectre at the last final moments just locked up the Justice, and Toronto Defiant are going to claim Suravasa.
And the Hydron flank finally pays off. He comes in with that visor, pumps out so much damage that ends up helping bring Flora down. Great play there from the Toronto Defiant. Understanding their weakness of not having a Lucio and sort of trying to maneuver around the map, playing very, very well. And Justice just not enough, and I have to go back and highlight that one fight where they committed all their ultimates. Yes, maybe you needed to do that, but it cost them absolutely everything. But man, this is a close series. We've questioned, you know, after last weekend, Washington Justice fell to the Atlanta Reign, and we were like, well, how good are the Washington Justice? And so far in this series, they've been able to go toe-to-toe with the Defiant, a team that people have lauded to be a strong team in this meta.
Really good so far. Alpha Yi too on the Genji's looking great, and although I gotta say, you know, not playing the Lucio might be a hindrance on a map type like Flashpoint, but Hydron's flanks, a lot of the time, they're sending 2 people after him, which is a big deal too. If you have 2 people less to deal with in the front line, you can see how Toronto Defiant are just eking out these small advantages. Colosseo is up next. Toronto Defiant right now have in their hands the perfect opportunity in the season to go 3-1 here and end up in the perfect mid. Route 66 though, just want to upset that narrative. We're going to jump to a quick break though. Map number 5 could come up next. We'll have to wait and see though. It is of course Push next. Welcome back. There we go. Suravasa went the way of the Toronto Defiant there. Some nice little compositional differences. No Lucio on one side, Lucio on the other. The Toronto Defiant at the very last point. It went 3-2 towards them, and now they're on series points, Scott. Going to Colosseo as our next map, and here's a small head-to-head for you on Suravasa. It's Collusion Mirror on the Orisa.
And I think this stat card makes a lot of sense, right? Because Kaluj just has more healing. When you have the Alari and the Baptiste, you're going to have a lot more support, and he's going to be expected to do less. While Mirror on the Orisa with a Lucio, you're expected to be just galloping into the backline, applying as much pressure, and that's probably why he's also leading in the Terra Surge kills. But honestly, both Orisas playing very well right now.
Yep, super well. Sometimes it is funny seeing the Orisa duel. We just kind of look at them shoot each other as they're both in full fly.
Yeah.
Pretty epic.
Well, that moment where, was it Kaluj who's just sort of spinning on the point with 5 people wailing on him for like, what felt like 30 seconds? And
how did he survive that? Like, and then he hit Fortify too.
Yeah, hit
so
Fortify.
A little bonus health, and then he's like sitting there, he's damage resist, armor, like.
And that's one of the things that makes Orisa so strong in this meta right now, is her ability to be self-sustaining. You get that extra health, you get the Fortify, you get that damage reduction, then you can pair that up with a Spear Spin. If you cycle those abilities very well, you can live on your own for a very long time. So both of these players putting Orisa to the test. But something I do want to speak about is the Hydron Soldier, because it really has been this like determining factor of how these team fights are won and lost for the Defiant. And I like the way Hydron plays. It's definitely a great strategy. If he can find that little bit of extra value, if he could ever draw the ire of the Lucio and the Genji and then live, that's such a huge advantage that goes to the rest of his team.
Yeah, like saying before we enter the break, right? It was 2v1 on the front, on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's fine by us. I mean, hey, you can fight 3 on the point. I'll distract you. That's cool, because we can just win. Like, that's not a problem. We have so much damage with the Bab, with the Alari. Like, your Lucio's chasing us. You're not going to have speed to kind of run away from all that damage, right? So Hydron did his job. He did a very good one at that. Small substitution, though, coming in for the Toronto Defiant. Sorry, the Justice there, Scott. Mirror stepping away. We've got Ben Best coming in for Colosseo.
That is interesting. I wonder if this is them recognizing, hey, maybe Junker Queen isn't going to work in the same way, and they wanted him to play a Reinhardt? Maybe he comes in to play the Orisa. I don't really understand this substitution, and honestly, that's been a consistent theme for the Washington Justice throughout this entire season, is their substitution strategy has been very strange, to say the least. And Get Amazed has been very public of saying, hey, we try a lot of our players, and these players are things that we've tried and tested in scrims. So there's obviously some merit to this substitution. We just don't know what it is yet.
Colosseo specialist. I mean, you don't think he's going to play Winston either?
No, there's no chance.
Not good right now. Which is crazy to say, because I've Winston pretty much the whole season.
It's nice to see a little bit of diversity in the tank role and see what all these other players can play, because, you know, there are some guys this season who have been like, okay, I would like it to not be Winston anymore, right? Like, Dante is currently crying into his pillow as he leaves the league, and then Junker Queen becomes the meta.
Pretty decent again,
and Winston is no longer played, but yeah, it gives everyone an opportunity to really flex their legs, and that's why players like Someone have really stood out above the rest.
Oh yeah. The flexibility in the tank role is crazy right now. All right, we're just going to jump into the game in just a moment. In fact, it looks like we're entering right now. Colosseo is the map. Push is the map type. Ben Best in. Maybe a little bit of Reinhardt here, or the Orisa. Maybe they just feel more confident in Ben Best Orisa on these kind of maps. We aren't seeing any crazy subs either in the backline, so Lucio's going to be the case as well for Justice, I'd imagine.
And yeah, that is the big difference of when Washington Justice subbed in Ben Best on Icemod. That made sense because they also took out Donghun, they played double flex support with Mira going over the support, so they needed Ben Best to fill that role, but with Donghun staying in, that means they're going to continue to play the Lucio, so why does this Mira sub need to happen?
Well, we'll soon find out. Match point for Toronto Defiant. Even scoreline throughout the season is on the cards, and 8-8, feeling pretty good.
With a 0 map record. 8-8 with a 0 map record. Honestly, it'd be poetic, but it's not just a sort of, as much as it is a funny meme to say, haha, they are mid, but it's impressive to see their resurgence since the mid-season break. Because, as we said, Spring Stage was struggling, so that means inherently this Summer Stage has been great for them. Their new additions has made them a scary team to go up against, and in the play-ins, I'm sure a lot of those other teams are looking at Defiant being like, I don't want to match up against these guys.
Right. They're very well drilled on this composition, that is for sure. And, oh, would you look at that? Yes, all right.
Oh,
Ben Best on the Rhine.
Anything Hardy can do, I can do better.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup for the Rhine, though. There is so much front-loaded damage, and to play around that, all they're going to do is TP and speed straight onto them.
And the onus is going to be on Ultraviolet and Surmarjet. If they can live, they can get away from just this speedy team that the Justice is running down. With flip sides, they can stay alive. That'll be huge.
That pylon needs to die before anything can happen, though.
12-second cooldown.
For the Justice, yeah, a large cooldown. Spectre taking so much damage, but there you go. Like I said, the front-loaded damage of this Toronto Defiant comp is going to be tough for the Rhine. That shield isn't going to last long at all, Scott.
Yeah, and the idea of where they TP'd, where they ran with speed was good, but the problem is they ran out of steam. They got all the way to the Defiant, and then Bembest just had nowhere to go. He had to hold his shield. As soon as you get to the point as a Reinhardt where you're holding your shield against this comp from the Defiant, it's over. You've lost. There's going to be too much damage coming in, and you will eventually die. You need to either pin for the fences or swing for the fences, and as soon as you're not able to do that, you've lost, and Bembest is already dead.
You hear that? I heard the voice like, barrier down, and then his health bar, woo, all the way to 0. Oh my god. I mean,
just look at how much damage is coming out. Mei right clicks, Sojourn left click charges into rail, then you have the Orisa constantly shooting, the Illari shooting, Baptiste shooting. There is infinite amounts of damage coming out, and that's only going to get worse when Ultraviolet gets this amplification matrix.
Oh yes, and that's in 4%. FYI. Oh, okay, here we go, baby. Time for Bembest to run at the back line. Boys moving this whole time, though. Bit of an issue. Window on the high ground stops Kalush from running it down too.
They're also very split up now.
Lamp all thrown downtown. They didn't even... Well, I guess they got Kalush for like half a second, but there will be a big rotation. And this is what Justice Comp need to do. They need to be able to split up here. Railgun through this window, Scott. The Lamp's been taken out as Hydron assails to the high ground. Ooh. That Blizzard is absolutely huge. And that is a team kill, and that is going to be checkpoint. Toronto Defiant running over the Justice. And the Justice, they've used one of the big ultimates in the last fight as well. That Blizzard's gone, and Bembest, yep. Straight over the Orisa.
As you said, the Reinhardt, we've seen some success from the London Spitfire, but Reinhardt just doesn't stay alive in the same way that an Orisa does, and Bembest is going to make that decision after he goes back over to the Genji. We've already hyped that up enough this series. Let's see if they can start making their comeback now that they're on a composition that makes a little bit more sense.
Well, Flora did manage to get a headshot to win that fight for them, but checkpoint is huge on this map. So good. Now the mid-fight begins.
Surmarjet has the Captive Sun. It's going to be difficult to find value. You've got to avoid a deflect, a spear spin, and then even if you do manage to land a big one, Dongan has the sound barrier. That's the best case scenario if you can force that sound barrier out.
Oh, Dongan in trouble. A couple of hits will do it, but he's skirting away. And Flora takes Surmarjet out. See the look of pain on Surmarjet's face there. Yeah, a little bit of a whiff. Unlike Surmarjet, a very skilled, high mechanical player. Sound barrier for the Washington Justice. And the comeback begins now.
Yeah, that was huge.
Oh, where'd he go?
Only cost the 2 support ultimates as well. So now they can start getting the bot moving a little bit on their direction. And if they can get Flora onto this high ground, Flora's Hanzo, unconventional pick right now in this meta, but he's been finding picks, and we know how good of a hit scan, or at least long-range damage player Flora is.
Yeah, Hanzo's pretty much hit scan.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Just with a delay.
Yeah, a small delay. Oh, Hydro don't want to pick that. It's been Sonic'd. Same Ultraviolet. Takes an arrow to the knee.
Got a dragon, but it's going to be hard to find value with a dragon here. If you can just displace the opposition with this one, that'd probably be a win.
Sonic on the bridge.
But yeah, this is like, with the amount of damage Defiant have, and they're just standing on this high ground, they have the pylon set up to protect everyone. It's so difficult to assail if you're the Justice.
Crazy.
It feels like they're just relying on Flora to hit a headshot eventually.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, thank you, Scott, for that one. Predicted that one perfectly. Dragon's tried to go through the window to stop Ultraviolet and Hydron using it. It's only going to stop for a brief moment.
But even now, what are they doing?
Rolling Bembest. Oh, that's what they're going to do, to drag it down from high ground. Ultraviolet pushed away, straight down to the floor. But still, Dongan falls, Hydron rips the overclock. There's 2 kills, there's another one. Yep, this damage from this comp is just too much. You sit on the high ground, you wait for them to come to you. You saw Bembest trying to be proactive. He pops the ult, Terror Surge drags 2 people down to the floor to his level, but Hydron was waiting there the entire time with the overclock. Any small misstep there from Justice, and they get punished for it.
Same thing with Donghyun. He went in to try and boot back into the Ben Best Terror Surge. As soon as he steps out, he's dead. Punished for it. There's just so much damage, so much punish from the Defiant. It's going to be very difficult. Even if they do win this fight, you don't want to have to use the Blade. The Blade is really one of the few tools that they have that will dislodge them from the high ground. So Alfie probably wants to hold on to this one, but probably isn't going to be able to.
And you can't duel the Alari either. Yeah, that pylon has to die.
Oh, Ben Best down.
Oh, Summershed with the ultimate hits someone on the high ground. Oh, he's hunting, he's searching. Oh no! His ultimate runs out just in time. Oh, well, Teru, he's thanking his lucky stars right now, but unfortunately the rest of his team are just out like a light switch. The Washington Justice, they need to be able to hold on to this. This bot is going to push around this final corner in just a moment, but that pick might just do it for them. Blizzard from Spectra, though, is going to separate the team. Alfie does get landed as he is frozen. However, manages to still get away. Blade has been pulled. Spectra ends up going down, but this is an expensive fight, and Summershed is still coming up with kills. Alfie pushed away. Kalush using every single cooldown he has to stop that Blade getting any more. Even a window utilized as well. I mean, with Ben Best dead, can they get back?
Donghyun tries to use the sound barrier. He didn't want to use it for so long, and it was just too late at the moment he used it. Even if you are the Washington Justice and you win this fight, it's been so expensive, and it hasn't been as clean as you want it to be.
I mean, Alfie is super low. Dashes away in 101 meters. Donghyun gets Ajaxed with a spear from Kalush. Oh boy. 3.5 minutes to go. 101 meters for Defiant.
And if you see Defiant, they're more than happy. Let's go back down to this corridor where our damage can just be at an absolute higher level. Ben Best is split up from the team.
All right, there's the Terror Surge to draw them out into Windows distance. Nice shot from Flora. One shot, body shot, two of them, in fact. Hydron and Ultraviolet pinned to the wall. There you go. Okay, fight one. But now, once again, Scott, where are we? Same situation.
I would love to see them like leave Terror on the point and them to step up these stairs. They cannot just allow the Defiant to really set up on this high ground where they cannot match them. Ben Best is starting to do that after you doing the same. Oh, they're actually lining up a Dragon. As soon as Defiant step up, Flora's going to throw it. You can see him actually looking to the monitor of his teammates so he doesn't have to see.
There goes the Dragon Strike through the floor. Nice spear. Straight into Spectra. Has to block. Has to back away, and there's the trades. Summershed and Ben Best down. Ultraviolet still kills Alpha E, and the high ground control is still in Toronto Defiant's favor. I mean, Hydron has to overclock every single time they try and push up this high ground. And with 2 minutes to go, Scott, this is an unbelievable lead right now for the Toronto Defiant.
And that's all the Defiant are doing. They have a lead, they're not overextending, they're just gradually pushing it further and further and further, and then just playing to their own strengths and advantages, because Justice, they don't have the ultimates to be able to win the fight. Alfie has another Blade, let's see if he can find more value than he did last time. They can't just keep relying on Flora to keep hitting heads, find value themselves. Someone else needs to step up on this team.
And look, they're playing super far away right now too. They know that is one of the big tools they can use to win these fights. Not a headshot, but 2 body shots will do. Alfie pulls the Blade, spots the window, spots 3 people behind it, decides to go for the deflect instead. I would do the same. And now they can just hold. They have to wait for Flora to find yet another pick, because Toronto Defiant just going to push on. This is the high ground. Flora in trouble. Almost gets frozen up completely. Ultraviolet takes him out, and now the high ground is in control of Toronto. They have a Blizzard, and they've got so many tools, but they're just stalling now, Scott. Even the checkpoint unlocked again, so forward spawns for Defiant.
And that's gonna matter. Kalush is happy to give his life at this moment because they're not the ones who have to do anything. Alfie uses the Blade. Yes, the Washington Justice is going to push it back. They might remove the forward spawn, but they still have to assail this high ground. Defiant are just holding strong. And now Spectra with another Blizzard. As soon as Ben Best steps up, he's going to have a Blizzard at his feet.
As soon as he sees that Fortify go off.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to get him away. Doesn't want to have him alive any more than he needs to be. Pylon down, Dragon Strike to split people up. Alfie trying to take advantage of it, but Summershed used that outburst to jump straight over the Dragon Strike. And now Ben Best is actually in a world of hurt, ends up going down with the ultimate in hands as well, Scott. 35 seconds to go now. The Justice needs to be able to come back, they need to find pigs. Alfie trying to dash in, he gets another one. A deflect kill, Summershed dead. Justice, they're still in this, but for how much longer?
It's only just keeping them in the fight, only just. They keep losing Ben Best, there's just not enough healing. Donghyun has the sound barrier, but once again, they cannot use all these ultimates to win this fight. They need them for a later fight.
They can stall out here for quite a long time, Scott, like you were saying. Ben Best is back.
Benbest, he has the Terror Surge. Maybe if they can use that one to isolate a target, but Spectra's still holding on to this Blizzard. If Benbest steps up, he could end up dying again.
There's the window, beautifully spit. Hydron, all dicing with death right now. Don't want to peek Flora on the side. There's the Terror Surge, right on top of Terror. Terror is low, but Benbest is already dead. Benbest again, holding on to Ultimate for way too long. Alpha Yi pops the blade. An unbelievable deflect into Spectra. Alpha Yi does it again. Summer Shed is going to fall. Maybe they didn't need the Terror Surge after all because you've got Alpha Yi. Overtime is here. Justice now, once again, need to assail this high ground.
Those are the heroics the Justice needed. Alpha Yi coming in clutch because Defiant used 4 of their ultimates. It is only Sir Majed with the Captive Sun. And now they're pushing into this checkpoint. It's overtime. We've seen crazier things happen on push, but they need to wait for their teammates. Where's Benbest? Here comes Benbest and Donghun into the fight.
You're not worried about the checkpoint going over right now, Scott. It's just more of a stall tactic. Toronto Defiant can group as 5. Benbest still with that Terror Surge, Scott. Dragon Strike from Flora 2. It could be huge to get him off height. Now she can just throw it straight on the bots. A little bit of damage down to Spectra. Spectra doesn't block in time. A 4v4. Surmashed with the ultimate, the Captive Sun. He's just raining death from above. 1 death, 2. Flora Donghun down. Surmashed landing the perfect Captive Sun. Just detonating Justice's chance to win the series. And Toronto Defiant, a 3-1 victory. 8-8, perfectly mid in the regular season.
Hey, you could say perfectly mid in the regular season, but they are looking perfectly fine right now on this composition, especially Sir Majed on the Alari. You can see them hyping him up in the background. He is so strong. That was the only ultimate they had. He needed to come up clutch, and he did once again.
Unbelievable stuff from Sir Majed this whole series. His Captive Sun accuracy and his ability to just raw aim, just punishing people for overstepping. And it's tough to take down that Alari in the air. We saw Alpha Yi Flora a couple of times. We were able to shut him down as he's soaring above his teammates. A couple of small mistakes with Sir Majed, being a bit over-aggressive, but that's what we kind of know the guy for anyway. Loves playing the Zen, loves getting in people's faces, has got the aim and the raw skill to kind of back it up, and Alari just seems like the perfect hero for him. And the Toronto Defiant, man, they are looking scary going into play-ins and playoffs now.
High risk, high reward gameplay from pretty much every player. They playing to their own individual strengths, and it's paying off for them in a big way. While the Washington Justice, there's some very big signs of life there. Obviously, Alpha Yi and Flora doing it once again, really stepping up, coming up clutch. But where the team play is needed and they need to work off of each other a little bit, still some holes that need to be fixed going into the play-ins.
Well, let's have a look at player of the match for this series. Of course, it's got to be Sir Majed. This guy is an absolute menace on this pick.
And the amount of damage that Alari can do while also playing around the pylon is important, right? That's what makes this composition viable at all, because has a ton of healing and has on-demand healing, but if you're hitting those headshots, you're getting that damage, and then using the Captive Sun just like this to be able to start triggering and turning fights, that's really what gives you that X factor.
Yeah, having those pylons in safe positions. There were a lot of fights there where Alpha you couldn't really duel or go in, and normally you can kind of duel out with support if you're the Genji, right? But if that pylon is up and in a decent spot, good luck trying to duel anybody, because that pylon does an unbelievable amount of healing. And well, there you go, that's him pulling the ultimate in the last fight and winning the game for them. Decent stats too, overall. I mean, out of 49 minutes played, you're not expecting like 10k plus damage. It's just these pickoffs. Alari doesn't do like a high amount of like DPS, like raw damage per 10. It's more just a 1-2 shots coming out. If you're hitting double headshots, that's an insta-kill on a DPS, and that is just so much value.
And that's a difficult composition to play against as well. The reason we've seen Genji really making a resurgence is because he deals with the Alari quite well, and we saw that from Alpha Yi from time to time. So the fact that Sir Majed was able to weather that storm and still find this value, that's what makes him clutch.
Bigger limbs, big final blows. Low deaths, 5.5, not too bad at all, per 10.
I wouldn't say low is 5.5, but it's not bad.
It was this match was pretty team deathmatchy, but that's how these compositions play right now.
Yeah, it's no Chad made 13 deaths per 10 Reinhardt, but you know, we can't all be legends.
All right, we're going to toss the desk. They're going to wrap up this series. We've still got 2 more bangers coming up, though. Don't go anywhere.
I got both.
I need you.
Let's go, mother. Where's the one?
It's a really one. Just Genji. Good job, Madra.
Oh,
Nice. Yeah, baby.
See you, suckers. Toronto Stonks going up, and meanwhile the Washington Justice seem to be frozen in space, or at least into their seat for the play-ins, perhaps, and that will be all the way at the bottom, which means that they do have to play some extra games where the higher seats in the play-in do actually get one round further in without having to do anything. For now, though, we want to chat about this match. 3-1. You got. The wish came through. Perfectly made.
Toronto Defiant reputation intact. Let's go.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. We want to get into the nitty-gritty of these games and talk about how they got it done. But first, we want to have a quick chat with the winner. That's right. We do have Sir Majed himself standing by for an interview with us in just a minute. And there is so much we want to ask Sir Majed because we talked about his Illari heading into this, and other teams have mentioned him specifically on that hero. We're worried we might not get to actually see him on that hero this time around because other teams have been shifting towards that Lucio. Do you think they can pull it off without the Lucio?
I mean, so far they've proven that they can. I do think there has been moments, right, like on Flashpoint where it's looked shaky. They lost before. It was 3-2, very close round. This time securing the series, though, in the end on push, not needing it there. So I think Toronto definitely can make this style work. I just think it is going to start to get scarier and scarier as you play better and better teams on those team play comps, right? Thinking about some of the teams like Atlanta Reign, who have been so effective at moving in as a unit and picking off one target. That's the sort of scariest thing you have to worry about playing this double flex sport comp. And so I wonder if they're going to be able to leverage it through playoffs. But I think, honestly, until they actually lose, I think they're probably going to keep running this and just play with confidence. It does just rely on individual mechanics. If the Defiant players continue to pop off, they can keep playing this. Like, they can keep winning their one-on-ones, and that's going to get them the wins.
Well, let's talk to the man of the hour himself. Sir Majed is here for a quick chat. But first of all, of course, congratulations. You guys have the dream, the perfectly mid-season. It came true. You are now on 8-8 in the standings, and you will be heading into the play-ins with Surge. How are you feeling after this victory?
I mean, it's actually like really insane. I haven't played for like the whole season almost. I was like benched, so it's really good to have like a win. And like specifically this meta is really good for us, so I'm actually excited for playing some playoffs. Hopefully we can win it all.
And I mean, we were popping off today on that Illari. So I wanted to ask you about that specific hero because RuPaul from Florida Mayhem did say that you are the best Illari in the Overwatch League. What's your take on that? Do you see yourself as the best Illari player?
Yeah, I still think I'm the best Illari in the league.
Nice.
No one like really plays that hero, so
yeah, and
I actually think I'm the best.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that because you've been definitely the only player and team who's been willing to like just lock it in and play with confidence in this. Like, it feels like everyone else has shifted towards Lucio styles, at least on Flashpoint or Control or Push, some of these spots. But you guys have resisted that so far. So I want to ask you, like, do you guys have the confidence to keep going through any opponent, even through some of the top teams in the league, like going up against Lucio styles? Are you going to like keep making it work?
I mean, if the meta doesn't change, I think like people still like gonna play Illari more instead of the Lucio, but we'll see. It depends on the like next patch.
Yeah, play-ins are pretty close, so I mean, you don't have a ton of time to change it up either. So we'll see if you stick to your guns next weekend. I wanted to ask you about what makes you such a good Illari player. I mean, we obviously know you have great mechanics, and you also usually maybe go for these like high-risk plays, maybe sometimes flank. Do you think that is like the best way to play Illari, and sometimes flanking and trying to find these picks?
I mean, sometimes I miss my ults like a lot, especially the first match versus Vancouver. Sometimes it's like really hard to get value from the ult. Actually, like when they have like Suzu, Matrix, and Beat and everything. So all you want to do is like force them and just live. So people think like it's not a big value, but like that's how you play the hero. You just have to like force other stuff and then just live. Sometimes you just kill 5.
Or kill.
Yeah, we saw some pretty ridiculous ults from you this match. Like some of the biggest ones I've seen like, from that hero, where a lot of people have been missing.
I mean, they're playing like a different comp. Just playing like different comp, so it's easier to get like value or like kill everyone. So yeah.
I mean, it looks very flashy when the value is being had from that ult. Now, if we're looking ahead of the play-ins, or to the play-ins rather, are there any teams you would consider real big hurdles or threat to the Toronto Defiant in specific?
No, really, no. I think we're the best right now.
Right on. Not worried
Okay, I
at
like that.
all about
Nice.
any of the playing teams, not even Boston, no one?
Not a single team.
Nice.
Let's go.
That's the confidence we need. Well, we can't wait to see the bite behind that bark next week in the plains. We wish you and the team best of luck in your plains matches, and we can't wait to see more from you.
Thank you guys for having me. See you next time.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to chat with Surma, Jet, and yeah, Toronto Defiant. Clutch game, big plays, and there was a particular moment right on the first map, Jake, that you would like to break down, which showcases one of those clutch moments from Toronto Defiant.
I would so, and I think it's really emblematic, this moment on Antarctic Peninsula, of what we saw all series long of how Toronto deal with the Lucio comp, which is they bend but don't break. Even when these Lucio comps open up on them and pressure them back, even getting picks, they're still able to clutch fights. And so let's look at an example of that. First, we can just roll the clip. So Flora right here on the window picks up opening kill. This is huge. Then Mirror chases down a second. And like right here, if we pause it, like you're just thinking as the Washington Justice, make sure I've got the right tool in hand. You're thinking as the Justice, right? Like these guys, they're trapped in the corner. You know, it really looks hopeless. Like if I'm Mirror, if I'm the Justice right now, I'm just calling, let's go for it. Like everybody push in, you know, Genji to the backline, Orisa to the backline. Just cut these guys apart and finish them off. When you're up 2 in a game of Overwatch, in the Overwatch League, you've probably won the fight already. But we can see how Toronto bring it back from what looks like an impossible situation with especially Hydron and Majed here. So first off, it is Majed with this giant ultimate able to catch the backline, and that synergizes absolutely perfectly with the flank from Hydron. So Hydron actually, after he lost his teammate, he wraps all the way around to take this flank angle on Soldier 76, something we've seen time and time again. Kaluj is able to play the back of the point here, continue stalling it out, and you can see he's even getting the heal resource from that Illari pylon off your screen. And then Majed uses the ultimate, uses the flight capability to come up to a high ground angle and punish the backline. He sort of goes over Mirror's head and lands his ult on the squishies, which is really what you want to be targeting with that ultimate, given the burst potential of it. So we can roll the clip from here, and mostly this is on Hydron hitting the cleanup, but you can see even Majed is assisting these kills. So this is a situation that really should have been all Washington Justice, and yet Toronto Defiant fight hard and bring it back and just team wipe from there on a 3v5. Really incredible. Like you don't see that very often in the Overwatch League, winning a 3v5, but great use of the ultimates, great flanks, and that's how Toronto consistently have been beating the Lucio comp. I don't know if they can continue to do it. I think it is very difficult to consistently execute on that level. Requires near perfection mechanically, but so far, I mean, Toronto have proved me wrong.
It's incredible what that team has been doing. When they've been looking good, they've been looking really good. Absolutely. Like the synergy is just there. You can see that the communication for that team especially has been on point. Even at the beginning of the season where they weren't looking so hot, the synergy was there. Like you can tell that those guys know how to play together. And let's take a quick look at some highlights and just, you know, walk past memory lane. Take a look at some yummy penguins there, Danny. That's for you.
Yummy penguins? Are
Yeah,
they yummy?
you missed something.
Did you mean to say yummy?
Yeah, that
delicious?
was.
I've never had penguin, but who knows?
It's a Danny thing.
Maybe a little chicken-like? I don't know. I've never had penguin.
It's a little bit of counter battery fire here.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting how Toronto Defiant in the spring stage, they actually were known to flex around quite a bit and play a lot of different compositions. You know, we even saw Kalush on Reinhardt on Legion Tower and stuff like that, for example. So they like playing a lot of different compositions, but now it feels like they've really found their composition, their strength, and something they can rely on. So I know it is a bit of an ongoing conversation whether we're going to see more teams swap over to play Junker Queen, Symmetra, Bastion, stuff like this. And maybe we'll see Toronto Defiant play more of that. But when Toronto Defiant have sort of found this composition, I'm very much in favor of just like playing it out. I mean, play-ins start in a week. You're looking really good. They think they're the best team going into the play-ins. So like I would just like hold on to this comp and just like play it out, because if you change things up now, it's going to, you know, there's going to be so many things you have to change and like question yourself. Just YOLO. Just play it out, see how it goes, and if you make playoffs, great.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you, Johnny, because, I mean, why fix it when it works, right? And even when the meta is sort of shifting to more Lucio, you know, if the composition that you're running, it works, and if you're that confident right now, like Sir Majid said, you know, go with it. Like you said, YOLO, like the play-ins are happening next week, go through that, and then if you need to make changes after that, do it. But for now, I want to see Toronto Defiant just running with the comp that we've been seeing.
I like 75% agree with you, Johnny. Like I do want to see them continue to play this comp.
I'll take 75. I'll take a big 75.
I want to see Toronto bringing out the Lucio on certain spots. Like, what about? I mean, we don't know what they're going to play on every controlled map. Like, maybe when they go to Lijiang Tower, they're going to bring out stuff like the Lucio, some of these really core maps. Maybe they could bring it out on Flashpoint. I still think that's a mode where I think Lucio is going to be meta in the end. But I still want to see, there's so many maps in the pool where you can play that double flex port style, slow the game down, and Toronto have proved, especially those attack defense maps, they're very adept. They feel really good on that. Like keep running it where it works, but I think it'll help them to have a little bit more diversity coming into the playoffs.
Right on. I mean, if there's ever been a team in the Overwatch League which showed that if you just stick to your guns, do win some as well, because it will catch your opponents off guard since they just don't get to play what they usually will be playing. Of course, I'm talking about London Spitfire. They will be coming up for our next match here. They will face off against the Houston Outlaws, so that's a big hill to climb. Let's see if they can get it done after this break.